Gareth, it's been an interesting period for the healthcare industry. A year ago, we were looking ahead to a Biden administration, potential Biden administration. It's here now. There's question marks around patents, around drug pricing. How do you see this impacting the healthcare industry?
Well, I think with the Biden administration and then importantly how Congress looked in the US, there's been heightened concerns around increased regulation, which we're definitely seeing more broadly. Within healthcare, drug pricing, as you've mentioned, has been of particular concern. That will really impact the pharma and biotech sectors. And really surprising to us, the sort of threat of it has really diminished. Now, we're still sort of approaching the situation as if something's going to happen. But I think, broadly, investors and industry has been surprised at the lack of anything really happening. Now, if, say, a substantial infrastructure bill, something comes through, there may need to be paid for. So, we're focused on it. We're being sort of risk averse around it. But, it really sort of has been surprising that there's been a lack of impact on policy there. On the intellectual property side, I don't think anything will really change. It was in the news around suggestions around taking intellectual property away from the vaccine manufacturers, around the COVID vaccines. I think that was just a sort of ploy because people are desperate to obviously speed up the process. Unfortunately, that doesn't really change anything, and it has much longer term, potentially wider impact. So that again, it seems to that one even more stark. Sort of the suggestion was out there and it's just disappeared.
Yeah. Okay, we over the past year have seen a rapid adoption of technology, both consumers, manufacturers. How has that impacted the healthcare sector?
Yeah, healthcare is very backward, sadly, or has been in its use of technology. Actually, our thesis over the next 5-10 years has been that technology will start to have an impact, and it needs to make healthcare much more cost efficient, productivity coming into healthcare, et cetera, et cetera. You've actually seen during, with the pandemic, more almost basic tech being used. So, video calls with your doctor as a simple example, and classed as telehealth. How long ago were you able to do FaceTime, right? And healthcare, it's just coming on now. So that's the problem, but we will see it impact. It needs to, as I say, to make the whole access to healthcare broader, better, and more efficient. If you look at medical devices, for example, so healthcare products, because of regulation and clinical development, which takes years and years, the technology there tends to be behind as well. If you think about, the phone you have today versus say 7-8 years ago, and the semiconductor chip in that phone, much more powerful, faster, etc. So medical devices, they have chips in them, but the thing is that the devices that might be approved today have chips that went into the initial design several years ago. So there's always that issue with tech, but progress is being made, things are moving faster, etc., etc. So we are really optimistic that technology can be a powerful force in healthcare in the future.
Okay, so a bit of a catch-up then by the sounds of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we talked about technology adoption, and then you've touched on the benefits. There is disruption that can come along as well, linked to drug pricing, the likes of Amazon coming in and looking at drug delivery. That can't be a good thing for the incumbents.
Yeah, so I think, you've always got disruption and risk. So on the policy side, what governments do can have a big impact. And then, you see competition, new companies come in, disrupting. So, Amazon as an example, their strength is distribution at scale. We can see areas of healthcare, so they're coming in and looking at pharmacy, distribution of drugs. That clearly they're going to be good at that. More complex stuff, I just don't think they'll be able to get involved with. It's the nature of healthcare, it's heavily regulated, as you know, you have to be careful for safety reasons, et cetera, et cetera. So it's much more complex. We're seeing healthcare companies, new ones listing on markets, lots of innovative ideas coming through. It's a really big theme for us around healthcare delivery disruption about, again, it's this theme of making healthcare more productive and efficient. And so we are seeing huge disruption from other companies as well. But, we can invest in those, and that's what we're doing. We're backing those companies. Okay,
and finally, from an investment perspective, healthcare is arguably unloved at the moment. What's your outlook from here?
So I think the top-down setup for healthcare is really, really good. So we're excited about that in terms of where we are in the cycle. And then we're really trying to think about 5-10 years time. What does healthcare look like, and the long-term themes that are relevant for that. I'd highlight innovation, new medicines and technologies, I'd highlight the healthcare delivery disruption, the impact of technology, digital health that we've talked about. Then, I think the rebirth of prevention in healthcare with what's happened with the pandemic, the power of diagnostic tools, vaccines, which was perhaps perceived as sort of an old industry and not much growth or opportunity, where we've seen real innovation come through. And then also consolidation. So healthcare is the most fragmented industry out there, particularly on the healthcare services side. There is opportunity for the leading companies to go out and consolidate those industries and drive a lot of value from that. And then if we look historically, the first half of this year has been very, very quiet on biotech M&A. So there's a big chance that maybe we see that pick up. We'll see, but those drivers are really the power behind investing in healthcare, and that drives our optimism over the next 5 to 10 years.